We did New Year's there one
New
year.
Year's, yeah,
That's right.
for the
And
hell of it.
and they brought champagne out for us.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You guys got bottle service at Denny's? Amazing.
Yeah, right.
All right, everyone. Welcome to Comix Asylum Podcast. I'm here with Kevin Briones and Vince Sunico, two amazing artists that I've had the pleasure of knowing for decades now. I guess the gray in
It's
my
been like a
beard.
decade.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
Oh
it's
my God.
like
It's been a minute.
it's been a minute. It's
Yeah.
a long ass minute. So, gentlemen, how are you?
Not too
Kevin,
bad.
Kevin,
Good.
you can
Not
start
too
first.
bad. Doing well. It's just been a busy time and yeah, just busy drawing, busy animating, doing all the things, right? So,
For sure.
Busy bee.
yeah.
Awesome. And Vince, how are things on your side?
Yeah, it's I can't complain really. It's good so far. Uh just really now I'm doing the whole launch with my book now, so that's a lot of more work than I thought it would be. Just the whole
Hmm.
marketing, man.
It's funny because when we did
Uh,
Atrium,
yeah.
for us, after we got to the point of doing it, and Kevin knows exactly because he helped us out with it, as
Yeah.
Vince, you have as well too. And for those of you who are unaware, this is part of the Atrium team that I'm talking to. Without them, we would not have been able to publish our book. Some great work and for eternally grateful for their contributions. But making the book is kind of like the easiest part. Everything else is bloody hard.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kevin, you know this with Neon Black because you've been doing Neon Black for a minute, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's been an ongoing project. So, um, yeah. And for me, for the most part, it's been, just promoting it through the conventions. Um, up until recently, it's kind of been uh the comic book career part has been um uh more supplemental to, my motion graphic work. Um and then yeah, in recent years, I'm like, you know what? I think it's time. It's time to make that shift, you know?
Right. And
Yeah.
and and Vince, we were talking about this before we kicked off the podcast. Your idea for what was formerly known as Loathe is now Heroes Be
Yes.
Damned.
Damn.
Exactly,
Damn.
damned. How has that transitioned into like having it as like a strictly indie book to now having it be picked up by a publisher? How's that been for you?
It's been great. So it's true. Like, what makes the company I'm dealing with 24/7 is like they do really support the artist, the best way of putting it. Like I have like full creative control. And Carl, who's in charge, like he's like any idea I throw in, like he's just like, yeah, yeah, do it. Whatever kind of pushes the book, he's okay. He's good with it. Like he's a big comic fan. So, I'm not just dealing with a guy who just owns a company. Like
Hmm.
he owns a company, but he loves comic books. And that makes a big difference. When you deal with other companies, like, yeah, it's just business, got to get the numbers up, whatever, and do what you need to do. But with 24/7, like again, dealing with them is just like, yeah, yeah, whatever the creative juices, do it. Whatever makes it good, do it. I'm
Yeah.
like, nice.
Yeah. And I like that environment where you're in a spot where uh where it really puts an importance on, the quality of the product,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to just the bottom line. It's like, oh, we've got to make X amount of sales. We have to hit these numbers, you know. But as long as you create a good product, that's what matters more than numbers, really.
Yeah, yeah. Like
You
you can
know?
see like some of the entertainment stuff right now. Well, I'm not saying like naming some of them, but
Yeah.
when you see like a movie that's out and you're just like, huh, huh,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
there've been a lot of cases,
A lot.
especially in entertainment, where it definitely seems like, okay, they're just checking off boxes to meet
Yeah.
certain criteria of like, okay, this meets this demographic. This is this guaranteed margin of profit. There's
Yeah.
this, and this. And it's, I think recently it's been pretty blatant as to like, okay, this is why you made these decisions, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm a creator and I have a vision, and this is,
Like
this is my art that I'm
you
sharing with
don't
you,
see that.
You
It's like
don't
those
see it,
studios,
not as
yeah, the
much.
studios are
Yeah.
like you don't even say even like comic book studios or movie studios. You can almost say like they're not taking the chance on that particular creator with the vision.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I say Star Wars, like when you look at that one, I mean there's some good stuff, but there's also some like, huh. And it's that thing where
Yeah.
like there's this ton of it. They go, oh, that word, let's keep doing that, as
Yeah.
opposed to exploring more of the universe of say Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. And then say
Yeah.
when you take a look at say an A24 movie,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
definitely.
To where they take chances, right? And I'm sure to a certain degree they're calculated chances,
Yeah.
but at the same time they're like, okay, this is this is a certain creative product that we can take a gamble on,
Yeah.
you know, but they're still taking a gamble, you
But
know.
that's when you find like a lot of people going to like say foreign stuff like anime or like
Yeah.
Korean
Yeah.
movies and all that. Because when you look at some of the stuff there, you're like, oh, I never thought of that. And
Yeah.
they're just thinking right outside the box. They're just making it.
Yeah.
A lot of good
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's almost as if and I guess this is the beauty of indie, right? Until it gets to a point
Yeah.
where it then gets to the um construction by committee kind of thing,
Yeah.
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 where it's the vision of the creator, for
Yep.
better or for worse,
Yeah.
right? But you have the soul of whatever that project is
Yeah.
right there at the beginning. And you can kind of see that once you get a hit, especially when a studio gets a hold of it, that then the producers and the executives kind of get in there, and very rarely does it get better the more you do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there are like these check marks, or there's market testing
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff that gets in there, or we have to get a certain type of actor, or the script has to go a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that it can't be changed, and that when you drop it at the beginning, it's perfect, but it just seems to be
Yeah.
more true to what you get. And then the beauty of what you're doing, Kevin, on your own, is you get to guide it the way you want. And then
Yeah.
Vince, you're lucky in that you're able to maintain that feeling of independence, but then having the backing behind you of a publisher.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It helps a lot, definitely, for sure.
Yeah. Now,
Especially like,
correct me if
oh,
I'm
go ahead.
wrong, Vince. Sorry to interrupt you, but like
Yeah.
you had like a lot of the story of Loathe um already written down or already like
Oh,
made
yeah.
prior to, getting picked up, right? So
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it became a
That's a
little
big
bit
story.
more it became a little bit more of a collaborative process of, okay, so here's already the form, here's here's how we can improve on it or make it better, you know.
What's interesting about it? Like, yeah, I literally have like pretty much a whole Bible on the whole Heroes Be
Y-
Damned.
yeah, yeah,
And then I always tell people like I do, like I have the how the parents met, right? To
yep,
the day he was born to whatever time, right? Like I just thought of everything, and then even the way he looks, there's a whole purpose behind it. But I always find you need the kind of like reasons for all the character for
oh
this
yeah,
particular character.
yeah,
But I did the original story was actually it was supposed to be the end story. And then of course when 24/7, said like, oh yeah, we like your character, we want to see, blah blah. And then we told the original storyline was like, oh, he was like a lot of issues, but
yeah,
they're only asking for 6. So that
yeah.
that changed everything.
Yeah,
So like Nick and I were just like, oh, okay, what do we do now?
it's
So
like, okay,
that's
let's take the best part, about our last 25 issues.
And that's how it kind of works because like all I did
Yeah.
was like I just took certain scenes and in the story itself, he is jumping to different realities, like
Hmm.
other multiverses. So in some ways, this what everyone's going to see in Heroes Be Damned, it is like an introduction to the character. You're seeing his full out, like everything that makes him who he is in this particular book. And it's exactly what it kind of worked out because I'm like loving how it's all coming together. Because the
Yeah.
original story, there is more story and there's a lot of like built up,
Yeah.
but it requires a lot of issues. And
Yeah.
obviously they're not going to be like contracting for that many issues.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
I mean, it's kind of the same as well with Neon Black, right? Because
Yeah.
the story of Alice in Neon Black, it's actually the last chapter of that bigger
Yeah.
storyline with the Go Man,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
Go Man is the backstory to Neon Black.
I like that.
Yeah.
So in a way, both of your stories are episodes 4, 5, and 6,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right?
Way ahead of
Yeah.
Lucas for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Because when you think,
rhymes. It rhymes. It's kind of like
It's like
poetry.
poetry.
yeah, exactly. I guess the beauty of it is, it allows you to tell a more concise story, but it also gets you into the meat of
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to kind of build as long as you might. And the way the
Yeah.
storytelling is now, it's like explosion first, then exposition, and then more explosions, as opposed
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
exposition and then explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of creators, even writers, like because there are ones in the even not even just with 24/7, like what I heard, or even like other people, like they're actually like writing and drawing as they go type thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was just like, what? Like they
Yeah.
have an idea, but me personally, I was just like, oh no, man, I need to see everything.
Yeah.
So I literally had to put the whole thing laid out. And then I always say this too, like as an artist, um, I just don't want to not say draw what's coming up, like through the next page. I want to do the whole thing
Yeah.
where each book actually is just different location, different characters. It's still telling the story, but I always tell everybody like I was excited to do the first book, and I was couldn't wait to get to the second book, couldn't wait to get to the third one, right? So it's three books already out. I can't wait to draw number four.
Yeah.
It's just I can't wait to get to the next book. And imagine if I just did a writer just threw it whatever. What am I drawing? I'm drawing the spaceship scene again. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
oh, this
Yeah.
again? And a lot
Yeah.
of them do that. I'm like, oh, it's dragging.
Yeah.
And Kevin and Vince, this is for both of you. I'm sure when the story is as tight as both of your narratives are, you're able to put things into earlier issues, knowing that they'll pay off in later issues, right? So you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
draw a character or design a character a certain way, or
Yeah.
have them with certain expressions that so when it's their time to shine, when it's their moment, or when something else has to change or shift in the narrative, the groundwork has been laid issue 2, issue 3 before when it actually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You can tease certain things in previous pages, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
The
kind of
little
like
payoff.
you put little Easter eggs, right? So then people who know, they'll be like, "Oh my God, yeah!" And like, issue one, so and so happened to be like looking off screen over like this way, and that's
Yeah.
what that meant.
Yeah. I like doing that too. You just said
Yeah.
it, something in the beginning, it's going to pay off in the end. And I have tons of Easter eggs in the book,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes
but
it
it's those
fun.
little details. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
It
yeah,
just
definitely.
makes that world feel a lot more like fuller, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting that you mentioned that because it is all about world building, right? And I
Hmm.
think the
Yes.
best stories have the most complete worlds. And you kind of see this sometimes with television shows
Hmm.
where the first season is amazing because it's been in development forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they order season 2, it's like a mad scramble unless you've had a chance to plan out the world,
Yeah.
right? It's a mad scramble to kind of then have the same sort of in-depth writing and quality in terms of the world building
Yeah.
because you're then on this quick schedule of like, okay, we got like, 8 months to bring out number two, unless you're on one of those Sopranos type thing where you're like David Chase is able to say,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I'll see you in 2 years, or I'll see you in
yeah.
3 years, and the audience will wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, sometimes it could work, but there are moments where like there's even like movies where like it's just perfect as that one movie.
yeah,
A good example, I just saw like RoboCop, right?
Mm.
Love RoboCop. The
yeah.
first one, it's such a
It's
great
perfect.
storytelling. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, all these even when you talk about like things behind, remember when he was twirling his gun?
Yeah,
Yes.
Remember in
Yes.
the beginning he was twirling it, it's because my kid likes it.
yeah,
Yeah.
But then RoboCop uses it too, right? And later on when he's a robot. But then when they did made number two, you can tell they had nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because they went back again to him being a non-robot guy again, or a robot and a not human again.
yeah.
So they just reversed the story again. You're like, what was the point of that? Remember in the first one, he
Yeah.
ended off, "What's your name, son?" He's like Murphy.
Murphy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now in the second one, he's back to RoboCop.
yeah,
It's like, and they're just doing the arc again. I go, that's dumb.
Yeah. Because the gun twirl was his humanity, right? And it gets,
yeah,
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 I suppose, looking back at it now and assessing it, it's not, well, like, what makes you human could be one of the themes of
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
is it your body or is it your soul? And
yeah,
with all of the cyborg technology that he's got in him, basically all he has left is his memories and his soul of what the human Murphy was.
yeah,
yeah,
But when he says I'm Murphy, that shows that he's still human, even though his shell is
yeah.
gone.
yeah, yeah.
It was so
And that was
good.
the big payoff
Yes.
of the first one,
Exactly.
right?
But even when you look at his transition, remember he had the helmet, he was very robotic.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
once he took off that helmet and he was just becoming more human, you're like, oh, that was so good.
Mhm.
Mm.
Then the second one, you're just like, what happened here?
Yeah, they made them blue.
Yeah.
Bluish, and he was more robotic again. You're like,
Yeah,
okay, they're just repeating it again. And that was done what? Written by Frank Miller.
Yes.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. And I wonder, making him blue and all that kind of stuff is the merchandising, because the
I
guys
that's
sell
what
more
think I
that's
toys,
think
I think
that's
so.
that's what
right?
that was, right? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
The kids already have the
pure.
gray RoboCop. They need the blue RoboCop.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know why it popped in my head. Undertaker. Remember when Undertaker first appeared from wrestling?
Oh
He
yeah.
had gray gloves.
Yes.
yep,
And I remember then he went to purple. Like purple.
yeah, yeah.
And you're like,
Hmm.
oh, that's why.
Got to sell
Was
the
Okay.
it was
toys.
it because of the toys?
I think so. I think so. Same thing with like Wolverine. Wolverine had the brown suit. I remember he had the yellow, but then the brown for the longest time. And then
Yeah,
suddenly he went back to the yellow. I'm like, oh, a
Did the
yeah.
yellow suit.
brown come out for Secret Wars? Did he have the brown suit for Secret Wars?
That was before Secret Wars.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But I know the
It's
toys, for sure the toys, his
at the
first
brown
toys
suit.
were the brown suit.
yeah,
Maybe from there they were like, it's not selling enough. We need something bright.
Right.
yeah,
He
Although
had the yellow.
I'm partial to the brown and yellow though. I like the brown or orange or whatever it is.
yeah.
I like that one. My
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. It's
Mm.
a cool. So let's get to your books.
Yeah.
Kevin, we're going to start with yours. Tell us about Neon Black.
So, I guess, yeah, like the pitch, I guess, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so Neon Black is a story about a girl who finds out that her real parents are supervillains and her adopted parents are the superheroes who kidnapped her when she was young.
Hmm.
And all of the fun that comes with finding out that crucial information of your life. Um, some of the themes eventually want to get into, is themes of like nurture versus nature,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
Mm.
The whole dealing with the gray area of, even quote unquote good people do bad things or bad people do good things. Um, and then playing around with the idea of like, um, history is written by the victors,
Yes.
right? So
Very
because the
true.
superheroes, they're the ones who are like in charge and everything, they're the ones who are creating the narrative. Like, oh yeah, those two over there, those are the ultimate bad guys. You want to stay away from them, you know, all to hide, her true, uh, her true nature, you know?
Yeah.
And interesting, yeah, we were talking about naming, right? There is no one in the book named Neon Black.
Oh,
Yeah,
Interesting.
interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So the name Neon Black or the title Neon Black comes from dealing in a world of like black and white and absolutes. For Alice, the main character, in order for her to break that mold, she has to become something else. She's got to become neon black.
Mm,
And that's an impossible color,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Excellent. So
I
Yeah,
like
the
that.
struggle's the title. Her
yeah,
struggle's the title.
yeah.
Amazing. Well done. And how long have
Let's
you
get
had
it.
this? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'm just trying to
I
figure. I'm trying to figure out mine now. Like, let's get
well, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes, Vince. So you got some time.
it.
So how long have you had the idea percolating, and when did you get the first issue out?
Well, I actually had the first issue out. Well, I had the idea out, I guess even the whole backstory that we were talking about, he goes even further back with the Go Man. And the Go Man was my first title when I first came onto the convention scene, um, with Vince too.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but even way before then, the Go Man was a character that I had since I was a kid. And just making superhero stories with them. And then as the years went on, I had this grand storyline for him. And then in his whole story arc, which um was like so epic. I was like, okay, how the heck am I gonna how the heck am I gonna tell this? Right? Especially starting in the comic book industry and making a couple issues of the Go Man and kind of balancing that between the day job and family and then comics, you know. I was struggling to figure out, okay, how do I tell this story, right? And that's where Alice came in, the main character for Neon Black, um, to where she's kind of she works as like the everyman as she's finding about more about who she is and where she comes from. She's actually finding out the past of everything that happened that led to this moment, which is the story of the Go-Man.
Excellent. And I'm just
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm thinking of her journey and how it kind of compares to all of ours, where like as a kid you're growing up and you have your parents and your
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
and you realize that your parents are not who they necessarily say they are the older you
Yeah.
get, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like they may get on you for like, you're out late,
Yep.
or you want to go do this, and you realize that as kids or as teenagers or as young adults, they might have been wilder than you were.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of interesting where where from her position, like she has these parents who have this image, and yet they're completely different
Yeah.
from what they really are.
Yeah, right. And that's that's it's just interesting that you bring that up, right? Because you even think about, well, I have a daughter,
Right.
right? Um, she's a teenager, and I am sure that she thinks that I am the lamest person in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter used to roll her eyes at me too. So I get it.
Yeah, it's
Dang.
things like that, right? And then once the idea of like finding out, when I found out about how cool my parents were when they were my age, right? Or when they were younger, you just look and you see these pictures, you're like, who is this man? And that's why he's the patriarch Briones.
Especially with the fashion back then, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
You know,
You know,
the
those heavy
fits were on fire.
floods.
Oh yeah, the fits were on
yeah,
fire back then for sure.
and you see that, and you're like, oh, I want to find out more about this guy, versus the guy who never let me drive. just let me take the car, Dad. You know.
Father.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want the rebel life for you, right?
Oh yeah,
Just keep everything safe and make sure
yeah.
things go well.
Yeah. I mean, after finding out the story, he was probably like, "Listen, I know what I did when I got the car. Not you. Come on. I know what you're trying to do."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
Um,
And so, how many issues do you have of Neon?
so right now I've got three. I had just finished a 2 minute animation, which is, a combination of the uh my two big passions, comic book art and motion graphics,
Yes.
right? And then in there, I tease that bigger story, that Go Man storyline. Um, and then so with next year actually being the 10-year anniversary, I'm making it official on the podcast right now.
Yes. Love it.
Um, I'm actually going to be doing a neon black redux, which is going back to issue one and everything that I've learned storytelling wise for issue one, and actually like expanding on a lot of the ideas that I had like put in there. So instead of your standard 24-page book, I'm taking I took inspiration from you, Vince, you know,
Oh,
just however many pages it takes, you know.
exactly.
So it's
Lighter,
Storytelling
stuff
without
like
stretches
that,
out.
borders.
No
right?
borders.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the thing. I remember like back then there was, trying to fit a story into 24
Yeah.
pages. Um, and then I look back and I've learned so many things and there's so many other ideas that I want to put in there, and just again expand that world, you know. Um, and then yeah,
That's amazing.
continue on from there. Yeah.
Well, looking forward to
Yeah.
that. And when you think
Yeah.
about 10 years, that's like wow, we were talking about knowing each other for over a decade. That's, so when you think that
That long.
when you think you
It's
were in the
it's been
project
that
that long,
long.
right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
not longer, because it was percolating before you made it.
Yeah.
Um, you kind of laugh at like the overnight success being a long ass night.
Yes.
10 years.
10
10
years.
years. Well, 10 years. And so I've got three issues, but there's just countless pages and Word documents of just
Mm.
like, here's this idea, here's this character design, here's this. So there's so many there's even more ideas that are written down that I
Right.
want to get into comic book form. Um, which now it's, I've got that time now, so I'm gonna capitalize on that spare time that I got now.
You got to
Sweet.
do it.
You know?
Absolutely. No time like
Yeah,
the present.
No
exactly.
spare time.
Yeah.
And Vince, what's your book about? We touched
Yeah.
on it a little bit, but give us a deep dive.
Yeah, not too much detail, but basically, there's a character named the Dam, and he is pretty much demolishing everything. So, you got to imagine taking this character and trying to tell a story within it. So you can't just have like a guy just going around killing.
Right.
So, in all honesty, that there is a lot of a deeper story. It's almost like, okay, if there's a character like this, but why?
Mhm.
You know? And in this one here, you can say like he could be the bad guy, maybe. But you can imagine like, when you have when the superheroes take on the villain, usually there's a story and then they're out for a thing, for revenge or whatever, conquer the world. But this is like a different situation. Like Loath is basically, or the Damned, he is like a monkey wrench thrown in, and
Right.
he's just screwing everything up. And in some ways, in the story, there's a girl named Mystic, very timid teenage superhero girl, hardly any real superpower. She's just magic in the way, and she might be the key to like solving the whole thing. All right, as much I can say.
Hey, you're embargoed by the publisher and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like in the Kickstarter right now, there's 3 books, and each book is like close to 40 pages each,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
right? And what I loved about it is like there was no restriction. Like there was like a limit of pages to be done, but it's interesting when working on it, and then when starting working with Terry, he just gave like suggestions. He's like, Vince, what about if he did a little this? Like again, he's only there to make the story tight
Hmm.
and just to make sure everything's concise in a way, right? And every time he throws me something like, yeah, I like that. And then I go to Carl, we might do some more pages, like, do it. Just do it. Like, all right. And
And
honestly, when looking back now, like, I mean, it was still good before, but now adding these little things now, these extra pages, it 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 does enhance it more, which I love.
Yeah.
And if it requires more work, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, if it serves the story, then I think
Yeah,
just don't hold back, go for it. And it's interesting
exactly.
because Kevin, you mentioned this earlier with Vince's advice to you,
Hmm.
and the fact that Vince is getting kind of like almost unbridled support to
Yeah.
just tell his vision
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
take the story where it needs to go. Especially when you're doing indie books, you're always worried about how do you tell your story within the amount of pages that you set and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
your budget can handle,
Yeah.
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 right? Because every
Yeah.
page is something extra above what you actually, are willing or able to afford. But
Yeah.
you want the story to be served as best as it can. And Vince, it sounds like you're in a situation with 24/7 where you're like, the wind's at your back almost with whatever
Yeah.
you want to do. They're giving you obviously advice and some
Obviously,
pathways
yes.
to
Yeah.
follow, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like just have at it, and that gives
Yeah.
you a freedom to not hold back when it comes to storytelling. And
Yeah.
And the thing is too, is like, I've already been contracted to do the books and certain pages. So these extra pages, like I'm not getting anything extra. Like, like it's the payment already stopped. Everything else is just all freebies.
right,
Yeah.
But I don't care. I just like, look, if it's helping the
But
book and telling
yeah.
the story I want to tell, it's like, yeah, I'll do it. Like
Yeah.
I can't be that artist where like, well, if I'm going to do these extra pages, got to do another contract.
Yeah.
And then with that kind of
Yeah.
attitude, you're kind of like halting your story or just
mm-hmm.
making it very, you could say mediocre, I guess, if you're not putting your all into
Or
the book.
it gets pretty limiting,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Especially if if you assign that like that that monetary value to it,
yeah.
right?
That's the best way of looking at it. Because I
Yeah.
always tell everybody, like back in the day with the old crew and all that, we always had like youngins or people new to the game type thing.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always tell them, like, look, man, like you just gotta love what you're doing. That's the number one thing. Making money and everything else is like after. Like, don't
Yeah.
make that your reason to draw. If it is,
Yeah.
then good luck.
Yeah.
yeah, so true. And
Yeah.
how is the Kickstarter going?
Oh, it's doing pretty good. I think we're close to 200 backers,
Sweet.
which is good. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
And it's ending on the 27th. So I believe they're gonna start ramping up with a lot of promotional stuff for the whole bit.
Hmm.
Like this weekend I'm off to Charlotte
Nice.
for the HeroCon.
Yes.
Never been there. Heard a lot about it. So pretty excited about that. I heard it's like a real good like a comic crowd,
Right.
just
Nice.
strictly comic books. So it'd be a good way to really get
The
the
feel.
last stretch for the Kickstarter.
Yeah. And also get a
So,
feel too, because like we've all been at conventions, we've all been behind
oh
tables
yeah.
or at booths. And
Yeah.
there's nothing like immediate market research than having to pitch your book and having
Yeah.
someone either go, "Hey, that's great," or "Yeah, yeah," and then they walk on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I always like the conventions for that. It's a good way where you actually get to meet the readers or the audience for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the social thing is like a totally different monster on its own too.
Oh, totally.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But the convention it is the crowd, right? So it's always nice to go to those and promote
Yeah, no,
and
that's fair.
shine.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And to have your publisher behind you is even better.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's been good so far, man. Like, can't complain. I mean, it's a lot of work, obviously. But again, I'm not thinking about the money. I just want, just really on my end, just people just to read the book and hope they had a good time reading it. That's basically all I want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. And so I'm gonna go back in the Wayback Machine. I know you guys are tight friends. You guys work out together and all that kind of stuff. But how did you guys meet? And we can even get into the crew because I'd like to go down that road as
Oh
well too.
man.
I
Yeah.
want to give Spent Pencil some love, man. So
That is like such a way back machine,
it is
man.
a Wayback Machine, right?
Yeah, well, I remember I met Kevin at actually at Gorilla Printing,
Hmm.
if that's what I remember correctly.
Yes.
Because it was for an event, right?
Yeah. It was for yeah, I think like Darwin, the owner of Gorilla Printing.
Yes.
He was having I think it was a friends and family event. It's pretty much just like getting a meet and greet of all of his customers to just to meet each other, you
Yeah, I
know?
think because he moved to a new location. I think that's
Yeah,
the one on College.
on college. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Um,
I had first uh met them because they did the printing for the first issue of the Go Man,
Right.
you know. And then they told me, yeah, come on over. You can meet a bunch of, there's going to be artists there. There's going to
yeah.
be, just other people in the industry and stuff like that. So I went in like to go and check it out, and then I see this guy kind of in the back of the room, sleeveless shirts, all tatted up, beard, small black hat. And I'm like, oh, geez, who's this guy? He's gonna fight me. Yeah.
uh,
So yeah, it was an introduction based out of fear and a friendship.
Yeah,
And
and I
then
just remember, yeah, because I remember I was standing over and I think your books were there, and I think we just
yeah,
started chatting, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, did this book," and I think you haven't done a convention,
yeah, yeah,
and that's when I mentioned like, "Hey, my buddy here, Arnold, we
yeah,
do comic conventions. We got ourselves a little group,
yeah,
right?" When Pen Pencil was small,
yeah, yeah,
we just said like the whole idea of the Pen Pencil was like, like I basically on my end, like my first start, I didn't know what to do, what to expect. Like it was just it's terrifying for any like artist trying to put your stuff out there in a way,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it was really hard until I met Arnold and it kind of got the ball rolling. And then we just had this thing where we're like, if we start meeting people and there's a good vibe, and we just say, hey, you know what? Like you share a table, you pay a little bit less, but it's a good way to start. And
yeah.
from there, you learn I guess, the trade of the convention, and you go off as a
And,
bird.
and you fly, fly.
Bye. Bye,
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah.
yes,
We
nudged
started
out of the
off.
nest a little bit, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we like started off like three to a table, right?
Yeah. Imagine I had
Yeah,
like three to the table and that was like tight.
yeah.
But it's a good way to start. That's always like things you hear about other artists where like if you start off just sharing a table with someone and just get a
Oh yeah,
feel for it,
Hmm.
at
yeah.
least it's a little step into the game. And then until you get the 12 tables, it's like, I'm a
The
Let
12
me let
tables.
me tell you, for anyone who has not had the pleasure of running into Spent Pencils back in the day,
Oh man.
they're talking about three to a table. All I remember is an entire aisle
Yeah,
at one
yes,
point
yeah,
with
It
Spent
was a
Pencils.
guile.
It was an entire aisle at a convention. And
yeah.
when I tell you impressive and just the collection of skill and incredible people that you had as part of the group, as part of the collective, it was just amazing to see all you guys, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
And
I
this is
I, I
before
was
I got
tough.
into it too. This is just when I was like just poking my head around and I was already in a studio with Hugh here in
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Brookwood, right? But the whole notion of being at a convention and being an art collector the way that you guys were was completely foreign and it blew me away.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah. We,
was
we,
it
we
was
were like
spent alley. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny
it's
for
funny. Like we weren't like obviously we wanted to be like a studio, but it became more like everyone kind of way we all kind of bonded, and we just wanted to make like a fun thing. Like I
Yeah.
always tell people, like my funnest time in doing conventions. Not saying they're not fun now, but obviously all of us doing convention, it's business. That's all it
yeah.
is, really.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
best part is like meeting everybody there at the shows and so forth. But when the days are spent, imagine we're all in one and we're just hanging out, just having a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. It made the conventions feel like,
So much fun.
yeah, we're just hanging out, you know?
Yeah. And then we go to Denny's after.
We go to
Blech.
Denny's
Yes.
Blech.
afterwards.
Yes. I had the pleasure of doing a Denny's run once in a while with you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like Denny's, but you know what? Because you think about it, if you have more than 30 people, like what place can hold 30 people?
Not many.
Yeah, and everyone goes like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Vince, why can't we just go to a nicer place? You can't hold all these people.
Yeah. Go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got
We'll,
to go to
we'll,
Denny's."
we'll go to a nicer place when there's only four of us.
Yeah, yeah, only four. That was like a
Because
rare
that's another
thing.
thing. Like, yeah, like Denny's was also the only place that would be like, oh, you guys have 30 people?
No problem. Come right
Okay.
in.
Yeah, give us a second. Let's put some tables together.
Yeah,
And
for
then we
sure.
we ate there, and then we hang out there. We'll be drawing there as
Yeah.
well.
We did New Year's there one
New
year.
Year's, yeah,
That's right.
for the
And
hell of it.
and they brought champagne out for us.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You guys got bottle service at Denny's? Amazing.
Yeah, right.
We bring them business, man. We're
Yeah.
top tier.
Nice.
Just spend
Bottle
pencil, guys.
service at Denny's.
We got the VIP.
Yeah.
We got the special tissues.
Nice.
Yeah, no, the VID.
The VIP.
Very important Denny's.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but
amazing.
no, it was fun. It was fun times for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like times move on, and uh, the group is no longer together. But in a way, we're still together, but no longer together.
But I would
Yeah.
say because I spoke to Arnold. Arnold's friend of the show, great
Arnold,
guy, sketch soldier.
Yeah.
sketchy soldier.
It's almost like it's it's just like it's almost like a shadow spent pencil. So like it's not fully formed, but it's kind of still there.
Yeah.
It's more like I was like, I'm glad I got to meet everybody in the group. Honestly, like I
Right.
can still, if some of them I don't see as much, but when I run into them, it's such a I felt there was like definitely a bond with all of them, and it's just almost
Yeah.
like old times come back.
Yeah.
Like if I shout them out, like I've been doing like a lot of these sketch things for like marketing,
Right.
super sketchy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll call someone up and like, hey man, like someone I haven't chatted in a while, like if you able to do it, and then right away they'd be like, I'll do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. And then
Yeah.
and it's been fun, like getting all these other people. And everyone was all spent, obviously. I need to mix it up.
Yeah.
Gotta mix it up a bit. But like I said, like, yeah, man, like I like to say that I would definitely call them good friends for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A league on its own type thing. Yeah, so
They're a league of their own.
they're a league on their own, man. Because they all left the nest, and now they're
Yeah.
like super birds now. It's like, damn, look at you guys.
It's almost like what would you call it? Wouldn't call it like a fraternity, you know?
No, no.
But it's something like that where it's like uh I don't know. It's like I don't know, there's like a shared past with everyone
Yeah,
there. Even for people who had like just kind of who had just come in and then just got out, you know?
Right.
yeah.
Um
Like I said, if you run them in the street by chance, that you think, and then you'll be like, let's get something to eat, or like,
yeah,
hey, let's go hang out. And
yeah.
then, like, what is one of the guys there,
And it's like
Rico?
no
Rico just pops out of
question,
nowhere.
right?
No
Yeah.
question.
Right. Right.
If
Yeah.
Rico just stayed in one spot, we'd be hanging out.
It's
But the
like
Yeah.
an
guy just
alumni
disappeared.
almost.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
alumni, that's what it is, right?
An
Yeah.
art alumni. And
Yeah.
and
Uh,
what's one of the, I'll start with you, Vince. What's one of the things that you took from your time there, whether it was like something you learned, um, an experience. What was it about Spent that still sticks with you right now?
the friendship.
It's the friends we made along the way.
But on all honesty, when you think about it, yeah, it's
Yep.
true. Like I don't know what it is. I consider them all like good friends. Some I can just call up. Not saying I have to talk with them every day, but
Yeah.
it's different when I see them compared to like see other people, obviously. But because we all had like a special bond in a way. But I guess with all of them, it's just I think the best way of looking at it, like I said, like when we do the shows, it's strictly business. Sometimes I just do a table by myself,
Hmm.
Yep.
and that's the reality of all, right? And the thing is, like, I think just having fun at shows is the best way of looking at it too, right?
Yeah.
Like you could look at it as a business, but you can have a little fun. And with the spent days, it was a lot of fun. And I think taking that attitude and just bringing it to these shows, because honestly, like doing these shows can be draining.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like so draining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm learning over the time is like, I'm gonna have fun. Like get to speak with more people and meet other artists, you know, other and then
Others.
other artists. But yeah, because from that you get to meet other artists as well.
Hmm.
Yes.
What I mean, because you're learning how to like learn on your people skills.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. And also probably picking up tricks of the trade here and there, tricks of the
Yeah.
trade through not just art, but business as well too.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that too.
you know,
And
Kevin figured out where to get his books printed, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and plus like everyone there, like everyone has their own skills and everything else. And it was a good way for like, say like newer people. It's like, hey, you got other people in this group. Now you have access to like, hey, how do I do this? How do you do that? You got guys who've been drawing for many years or have just more experience. And for someone new, you have that access with Span
Yeah.
when you're in Span, right? So,
yeah.
and it was kind of good to like even learning a bit of the like leadership too, right? Like, because like if you suck at it, then they'll hate you, of course.
Right. Right. That's it. That is
That
that is
that
true.
Vince.
But I think even
Vince.
like, yeah, Spent also had, different levels of I guess people in the workforce as well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So you had the experience of Arnold, working in the corporate environment, right? As well as like for me, I had experience in corporate as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and kind of, being able to talk to the other artists about like, okay, yeah, like here's how that works. And, here's the benefit of being an independent artist,
Yeah.
you know, and that
Yeah,
kind of
even
stuff.
even too, like when you look at everyone and if you remember everybody's faces there,
Yeah.
it's almost like too like if we weren't in that group and they were just doing our own thing, would have all of us been friends? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like say like Alvaro, right? I
Yeah.
don't know if I see him in the street or whatever, I don't think I'll be friends with him just because of first impressions,
Yeah.
right? But
He's
with
got he's
Spence,
got no upper body strength.
look at that.
No,
Pick up that box. But when you get to know him, he's like he is the funniest, the kindest person you ever met. A
yeah.
beautiful unicorn. That's the best way of putting it.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, there is that to where you have these different artists from all different backgrounds
Yeah.
to where, like our paths probably wouldn't have even crossed,
Yeah, that's what I
right?
mean.
You like,
Like,
would if we never knew each other, Vince, and we saw each other in the gym,
oh, I'll hate you.
I would probably be gym nemesis, right?
He gymnastics. Yeah. Hey, bro, you
It's
gonna do
like,
that deadlift? No.
hey, well, yeah, okay, that's how
All
much
right.
he's doing.
I'm gonna put
Okay,
a little bit more on
I'm gonna
it.
put more over here.
Just visual daggers going both ways.
Exactly.
And Kevin, what
Yeah.
was your big takeaway?
Uh, I mean, it's more the same, the overall experience. I think, um, it the at the time it was great because for me, you know, it 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 gave me that confidence to get that foot in the door, right? Um, being being brought on into Spin Pencils and then bringing other artists on, right? To where, I had that confidence of number one, stepping into the industry, and then number two, kind of helping usher other artists into the industry, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I feel like the biggest learning was kind of afterwards, right? Which, it goes along with Vince's sentiment of it was the friends we made along the way,
Yeah. It's
right?
so true.
Where it was oh, what's the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you go together,
Yeah.
right? And if you look at all of the different artists who have gone through the Spent Pencils banner, right? Not only did they learn stuff while they were in there, but they also found, um, you know, whether it be, they also found an other, you
Yeah.
know, someone that they like, either one person or a few other people that they've kind of like paired up with and kind of continued that that drawing journey with,
Yeah, it's true.
right? If you think about it,
Yeah.
right? Um, so is that, and a lot of them are, you've seen them. They're all still in the comic world in one form or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a
It's
good way of putting it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Fun times, man.
Yeah.
So, what were some of, or what was your influences to get into comics? Kevin, I'll start with you.
My influences to get into comic books.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles.
All
It's a
right.
big one. Kevin
Of
Kevin
Eastman,
course.
Eastman.
right?
Yeah.
Um, um, Let me see. One of my biggest is actually my dad,
Sweet.
right? At a very young age, I had found a notebook of his that he had when I guess he had made it when he was in college or high school. And it was just your regular lined uh notepad or notebook. And he made a whole comic book on it. And what I remember the most impressive part was number one, it was all in a Bic pen,
Mm.
but also
Oh,
number
wow.
two, I couldn't see any pencil lines.
Wow.
So it's like he did it all just kind of boom, just like that, right?
Nice.
Impressive.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
still have it? Does he still have it?
He still has it. Yep.
Oh, no.
It's still at at Briones home base,
Yeah.
well preserved, you know. But yeah, even his art, it was like it was like classic. Um, oh my gosh, I'm it's escaping me right now. Um, it was old like Conan style.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, you know. And I had never seen anything like before that. It was all I saw was Ninja Turtles, right? And then I see this, his main character is his name is the Wanderer Stranger,
Mm.
oh,
right? Which also I've included that in the backstory of the
Nice.
Go Man.
Nice.
So that still works anyways. That
Got
that
got some legacy there.
oh, huge legacy, right? Um but yeah, just like seeing that and this story that he had like written, which was your base damsel in distress storyline, right? The crazy part is as well is that it was all written in old Shakespearean English,
right.
right? Yeah. Now,
Damn.
to 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 put like context in it, he wrote this while he was in the Philippines in in I want to say in college,
Wow.
right? So he was
Wow.
learning English and he wrote it in old Shakespearean English.
Easy.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So that was, I think that that really kicked it off for me, you know. Um and yeah, still to this day. I'm actually working on a drawing right now. I don't know if I can show it,
Sure.
We won't
but
tell.
oh, you can't. You could barely see
No,
it.
we could see it.
So every year around Father's Day, I draw his character,
Ah, cool.
the Wanderer Stranger, and then this one here, um, uh, on Father's Day, I got him to draw the pose, and then I would fill it in.
So it's
You know,
like
That
as the
sounds
years.
you're
cool.
like John Romita and John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Think about it.
yeah, yeah,
Nice. Well done.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And Vince, what were your influences, or who were your influences?
Oh, my dad doesn't know how to draw. He sucks. No, even though it's like both my brothers, they used to draw too, but they don't draw as much now. I'm like the only one who drew in the family. Like,
Hmm.
oh. But influence wise, one that really pops up is like seeing John Byrne stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the one that really got me when growing up. And then all the other artists started falling in, right? Like Jim Lee and
Yeah,
Mark Silvestri, like Art Adams. Like I just really loved his stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
when Art Adams popped on the scene, it was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
yeah,
mind-blowing
There was
experience.
this moment
yeah,
in the artists and during that time, right? It
Hmm.
just got like so many great artists that came out of that time frame. It's like
Yeah.
definitely like yeah, John Burns definitely popped up, and then definitely like Art Adams, like holy shoot. Then Jim
yeah,
Lee and everybody else came through. I was like, man, um, yeah, definitely those guys for sure. And then I started getting more into like manga,
Yes.
or anime, you could say, and I got into like Berserk
Hmm.
and looking at like Kentaro Miura stuff, man, just
mm,
blows
Yeah.
my mind. So he's like a big influence as well, especially when you look at the design of like Loth. You can see a bit of guts in him,
yeah,
a bit. So he's like a top one I like. I mean, there's so many different artists, but those are the ones that really stand out.
yeah.
Those guys.
And it's crazy because like since we all draw, we're still learning. Like,
Yeah,
like you'll see someone else come on the scene, and you're like, oh, that's how they do their lighting, or oh, their
yeah,
Yeah.
line work, and you kind of study it a little bit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like your style doesn't change, but you kind of think of what they're doing to see how you
yeah.
can incorporate it into yours. Like you're
Yeah.
always evolving as an artist.
Always as an artist, you're always learning. Like I'm always
Always
learning
learning.
something, always
Yeah.
something new. Like another artist that pops up too is her name's another manga artist, Jun Miyazaki. Like the way she draws like the backgrounds and just like certain details, even the expressions on the characters. I was like, and I just like read the manga not too long ago. I was like, oh man, like you're learning. I was like, this is cool shit. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but yeah, always learning. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. And I think my advice to anyone would be to not just stay in your silo when it comes to whatever you
Yeah,
like. Take a
yeah,
Yeah.
look at everything out there because there's so many amazing artists that you don't even know about, that you've never heard of,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that have something to offer for you as not only as a connoisseur of art or a lover of art, but also as a technician and someone who does it on the regular.
Yeah, everyone from who does like paintings to like even fashion design or
Mm-hmm.
sculpting, like you're learning something. Like, you'll it's around us all the time. And you'd be like,
Yes.
who did that? And you find out, oh, yeah, cool
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And from influences, what's the greatest challenge you faced making your books?
Oh, well, Kevin, go ahead, or me.
Whoever wants to
Um,
start, go ahead.
I think that, I mean, the biggest challenge has always been time, really.
Yeah.
In, balancing that with, you know, with, uh, you know, with life, with work, um, uh, everything else, right? Like everything else just kind of, it takes, it takes effort and it takes time. And, to create a book, to write it down, like there's it's something that it actually requires you to actually like focus in and to really get into the world of the story that you're writing, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of the challenge sometimes, um, to be able to get into that mode, right? Because like it's sometimes it's hard when you're working a 9 to 5 and then 5 o'clock hits and you're like, okay, I'm gonna work on my book, and you're like, I can't do anything right now, you know? Or you're just staring at the page and you 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 have that art block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that was always like the challenge. Um, and then it's finding, okay, what are supplemental things to do? You know, maybe it's not writing drawing a whole page or writing a whole script, you know. Maybe maybe I think about this character, or maybe even I just imagine this this sequence. I'll just daydream a fight scene. You know, it's finding those little opportunities to 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 kind of like push push that story and that narrative a little bit further. Um, and also giving yourself that patience of, they all don't have to be huge steps, you know, just, a thousand little steps is going to get you a whole lot further than trying to take a big giant leap
Yeah.
whenever
Yeah.
you're ready, whenever that time comes.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like that.
And Vince, what was your or what are your greatest challenges?
Trying to think now. 'Cause I mean, like doing the stuff. Yeah, I mean, I mean, drawing in my style, I find it is a lot of details.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, um, but that's the thing. Like, you just kind of overcome that. Like, because like again, I enjoy what I do either way. And there are moments where like, yeah, I gotta draw a building. I'm not a fan of drawing buildings, but I'll draw a hell of a good building.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I'll do it. But I think the challenge really is like, I guess like coming with like even just writing a story. Like I love writing, really enjoyed it. I wasn't a good writer. I wasn't even a writer in the beginning. Like I
Hmm.
was just drawing. But when thinking like, hey, I gotta get like a book on my own, I had all these different ideas, but I just didn't know where to start. I had no clue. And then when meeting Nick, like who was also a member of SMED, he had some little bit of background. He studied a bit of writing. So like even joining with him and just learning bits and pieces of like, okay, and then actually just going on my own just to study how to write. And that's like another level too. And you start to realize that it's also like an art form.
Yeah.
And I guess between like myself or all of us, really, like we have that advantage where we can like write and draw, which is another thing as well. But I think in the beginning, it was just writing it all out. It was like a little bit tricky in the beginning. And I'm hoping that as, time goes on, there'll be more projects, obviously, but I'm not getting young. So it's like the artwork is the only one that it would say would be a lot, but I wouldn't mind just keep writing as
Mhm.
time goes on.
Yeah.
Um, there's like those bit of challenges I find in the beginning, but I think I'm getting a hang of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's like baby steps in certain
Yeah,
ways.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
going back to what Kevin was saying. where you're like, the crazy thing, I was explaining this to a friend of mine the other day, where it's like when you're drawing, you almost have an idea of what the finished drawing is before you start,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's in your head of how you want it to look.
Yeah.
It very rarely looks like what you imagined it.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
because like there's like the super artist in your brain, and
Yeah.
then there's what you can do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And writing is kind of the same kind of way, where it's like you have this entire story that you want to tell, but then the characters take over,
Yeah.
or an editor chimes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like where you thought it was going is not where it's going, because one
Yeah.
character is like, I'm not going to do that. And then you write to that character's, motivations or strengths or weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that takes the story that way. Or
Yeah.
like we had this even with Atrium, where, spoiler alert, one of the characters dies. And
Wait, what?
yeah, right? Shocks. And then Lucas, our artist, is like, when he read the script, he's like, I enjoyed writing. I said I enjoyed drawing him. Right? And it's like you don't know how you're writing, or sometimes how your art is going to be received, or how a character is going to be received. Right?
Yeah.
They're just serving their purpose in the story. But then you realize, oh, I could have kept this person along longer, or used them a different way. Now, I wouldn't have changed anything because of the confines of the story, but now it's like, well, maybe I should do a story that tells that character's story before Atrium, kind of thing. And those are the challenges, right? Where it's like, you think you know where you're hitting it, and it's like the audience decides where you're hitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had this one part where I was writing a scene with a particular character. And that's the whole process of anything, really. You just kind of keep throwing these ideas, and then you just kind of tweak as you go. But it's one of those things where if you're drawing, or say in this case, I was writing, like I enjoy it. But I remember there's one particular scene, and it just went off rails.
Right.
And it still could have been used in the book, but then as time goes on, I started to realize, like, oh wait, I'm way off, and I had to cut that whole thing out. And just kept it simple within the story itself. But it could have been added if I wanted to, but in some cases, no, then it'll be a lot more pages. And it could have been like extra, I don't know, like 10 pages. But as you know, when you're writing it, it sounds good. And I was like, oh yeah, but then I'm like, and I had to take it
he's like,
all
oh,
out.
but why though?
Yeah. You kind of go back, and I was going a little bit too far into this one particular character. And I was like, okay, you know what? She's there, but she doesn't need to be for the whole thing, right? And there are a lot of characters I created I want to do more on, but again, it can go back to where, like, maybe the character be told later on, or maybe as a little introduction right now.
Yeah.
But it was fun writing it, but
maybe for the graphic novel. The deluxe edition graphic novel.
Yeah. Save it for the Netflix series. There you go.
Tales of Heroes be damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Well, gentlemen, I want to say thank you for spending the afternoon with me. This was great catching up.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for having us, man.
No
It
worries.
was fun.
Kevin, where can people find you, and what can they look forward to from you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is GoMan7, so just GoMan7. And I also stream on Twitch.
Yeah. He's a Twitcher.
Yeah, under the handle of sparetime_superstar.
Nice.
Which if you go to the IG, you'll see the link in the profile there. And then next big show will be, well, we've got the Summer Bash, Gotham Summer Bash.
That's right.
Right? That's happening.
That'll be in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And then after that, we've got Montreal Comic Con.
Montreal Comic Con.
Yeah. Which I just found out that I've got a guest table there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he has that table, and now I have a table.
Yeah. Nice. So now he's got my table.
Dude, I've been trying to get into that show for a while, man. Like,
well, congrats. I'm going to be there as media, so we'll see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Done. Done.
Man,
Montreal's a fun city. I like
it's
the
it's one
place.
of my faves. One of
Oh
my
yeah.
faves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Montreal.
It's a
That's
great show.
yeah.
Dude, you guys check out Manga Bistro. I've been like promoting them.
I'll have to check it out. I've never been.
It's
Yeah,
so cool. The atmosphere, I think everyone's gonna love. It's just
okay.
the
All right.
atmosphere.
All right. We'll
Food's
go that weekend.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna make
absolutely.
Yeah.
reservations.
Done.
Yeah,
Done.
perfect. Sounds like a plan. And Vince, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, VinceSun316. And if you happen to be there, just go into my bio, click one of the links there, and it'll go to my Kickstarter.
Excellent. And
Where
you
where
said
my
there's
book is there.
and you said there's a couple of like there's about 2 weeks or so left, or is there more than that?
I think next week is the last week.
Okay.
27th will be the last day.
27th, right. So we're
Oh, that's right.
talking
Yeah.
about 9 days or so
Yeah, yeah.
away.
Yeah.
So really wrapping up, man.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyone who's listening, check out their links, go back to Kickstarter. These guys produce amazing work. I've backed their things before, and we're good friends, and they're
Yeah.
part of Team Atrium. So, show them some love. So Kevin, Vince, once again, thanks again for joining us on the podcast, and we'll see
Likewise.
you guys soon.
All right, Steve. Thank you.
All right, take care,
All
everyone.
right. Take care.